Hello and welcome to September 9th notes for Pythagorean Theorem. So what you're going to be dealing with is word problems for these examples. We want you to get comfortable with word problems so that way you are successful for your project that is going to be coming up, as well as knowing how to do the Pythagorean Theorem in a word problem. So if you recall, the Pythagorean theorem is a squared plus b squared equals c squared, with c being the longest side and largest number. So the directions say find the hypotenuse. So the hypotenuse is c of a triangle with a base of 11 inches and 9 inches. So I'm going to draw out my triangle, and I know that one side is 9 centimeters and the other is 11 centimeters. I need to figure out what C is. So I'm going to use the Pythagorean theorem in order to help me solve that. So I'm going to say that this one's A, this is my A, and this is my B. If you prefer your B to be your A to be 11 or your B to be 11, whichever you prefer, completely up to you. So I'm going to rewrite my formula. A squared plus B squared equals C squared. I don't know what my C squared is, so I'm going to leave that one alone. My A, we said, was 9. So I have 9 squared, don't forget the square with it, plus B squared, we said, was 11, equals, I don't know my C because I'm trying to find my C, my hypotenuse. So I'm going to bring it down just as C squared. So I have 9 squared. 9 times 9 is 81. Plus 11 times 11. If I don't know that, I can do it off to the side. It's 121. All right. So I need to add 81 and 21 in order to get a number. So I'm going to draw it up here. So 121 plus 81, 2, 8, 9, 10. So I have 302. So I have 302 equals C squared. Okay, so let's see. Do I know a number that is going to give me my C squared? Well, I don't necessarily know, so I'm going to pull the calculator. Trusty calculators. Okay, in order to get the C alone, remember you have to square root it. The opposite of a squared number is square root. So in my calculator, I'm going to type 302, the square root of 302 is 17.37. So since it's not a perfect number, I'm not going to write out all those numbers. I'm going to leave C as the square root of 302 centimeters, which is approximately 17.38 centimeters. Okay. So both answers are acceptable. Let's move on to number 2. Remember, anytime you can pause the video. So number 2 says, Maria walked 3 kilometers west and 4 kilometers south. Calculate how far she is from her starting point. So if you know your north, east, south, and west, like a compass, right? She walked 3 miles west. So she started here and she walked 3 kilometers west, or kilometers, sorry. And then she went 4 kilometers south. So that means she went down 4 kilometers. Whoops. I'm going to rewrite that. So she went 3 kilometers and 4 kilometers. Sorry, kilometers. Okay, I need to figure out where she is now from her starting point. Meaning, I'm going to find what C is, my hypotenuse. Every time you won't be finding the hypotenuse, so be sure you know your northeast, southwest, just in case. Okay? My formula states a squared plus b squared equals c squared. So this time I'm going to say that this is my a and this is my b. Why not? So my a is 3 squared plus my b is going to be 4 squared equals my c squared, because I don't know how far she is from her starting point, right? So 3 squared, 3 times 3, remember it's not 3 times 2, is 9. Then I have my 4 squared, 4 times 4 is 16, equals, I still don't know what c is, so I have c squared. Now I'm going to add 9 and 16 together. And if I add those two together, 16 plus 9 is 25. So I have 25 equals, because I need to bring this over too, my c squared. Now, this one's pretty easy to solve. The opposite of a squared number is square rooting. So put the square root over both. What times itself, the same number times itself, is going to give me 25. 5. Yep. So now I know from her starting point and her ending point, it's 5 kilometers. Sometimes they will be perfectly even and have easy numbers instead of like up here. This is a Pythagorean triple. I get one whole number for each spot. Let's move on to number 3. Lena's guest house. Okay, Lena's guest house. She has a guest house. So here's her little guest house. Her guest house is 15 meters long and 12 meters wide. It's a rectangle, Miss Thorpe. Of course it is. A house is rectangular. Well, how am I going to find the Pythagorean theorem? Well, it says how long is the diagonal of the house. So that means from corner to corner, I'm going to draw a line. Because look, there's 2 triangles in a rectangle or a square. So now I'm going to find out what C is. I need to find the diagonal straight across. So write my formula again. A squared plus b squared equals c squared. My A, I'm going to say is 15. My B is going to be 12. So I have 15 squared plus my B squared, which we said was 12, equals, of course, I'm finding C again, because I need to find the diagonal, the hypotenuse of this triangle. So 15 times 15 you'll have to do off to the side. Or if you know your perfect squares, you can see that it is 225. So 15 times 15 is 225. 12 times 12, I know from previous ones, is 144. Equals my c squared. Still finding c. Still need to figure out what to do. And guess what you're going to do next? You guessed it. Add the b and the c. Sorry, the b and the a together. Add 225 and 144. So I have c squared, and off to the side, 225 plus 144. 369. What's our last step? Take the square root of both sides to get that squared number away from c. So c is going to equal, 1 number times itself is going to give me 369. Let's pull up our trusty calculator. Okay, so I have 369, the square root. So it's not a perfect square, which is fine. So I'm going to leave it as the square root of 369 meters, which is approximately, says 19.21 meters. Now I rounded, as you can see from the calculator, it says that it is 2.09. So the 9 is going to make the 0 go up by 1. So I'll leave it as the square root of 369, or approximately, that's what this little squiggly equal signs mean, 19.21 meters. Let's move on to number 4. The diagram at the right shows how a post was broken. Oh no, we got a broken post. We need to figure out what the original height of the post is. So looking here, you can see we have a triangle right here. So we have 2 feet and 18. Which letter am I missing? A, B, or C? C, or the hypotenuse, right? So I'm missing C, my hypotenuse. So I have A squared plus B squared equals C squared. I'm going to make A my 2 and B my 18. So I have 2 squared plus 18 squared equals some C squared. So I don't know what that is. But I know that 2 squared is 4. And I know 18 times 18. Let's figure that out, shall we? So take a second and figure it out. All right, did you get 324? Perfect. So again, add your 4 and 324, and you're going to get 328. Last step, square root them. And let's see what we get. Not a perfect square. So C equals the square root of 328, and we're dealing with inches, or approximately, we get 18.11 inches. Now, if you say that it's direct, if you do not put the squiggles, that means that your answer will be wrong. The reason why is because it doesn't officially equal 18.11 inches. It equals 18.1107.702, and so on and so forth. So you need to make sure the squiggles are there. Let's move to the last 2 problems. All right. So your wording might be a little bit different on your paper, but now we're going to do the converse. Remember, the converse means I know one side and what one side and my hypotenuse are. So in this case, I have A equals 5 meters and C equals 3 meters. Sorry, C equals 13 meters. So I know A squared plus B squared equals C squared. So I have my A, which is 5 inches. It doesn't say I know my B, so I'm going to leave it as B squared equals 13 squared. Okay? 5 times 5 is 25. I'm left with plus B squared equals 13, and 13 is 169. And now we will solve for it. Watch the second video.